My name is your boy Nathaniel Kidesel, and with poets, I use King Kidesel as my stage name. I'm also an artist that is into drawing, portraits, which I use King Kidesel as well. I'm a graduate and also into other businesses like farming.
King Kidesel the poet. Above the blue skies, the heart that loves. Greatest like the shining morning star. And when the sky kisses the earth, the symbolism of love is explained. The waves of the sea.
Art in general is very broad, but it's into portrait. What we do is drawing aspect of art, where you take human being, look at the picture, then you put it on the paper. And normally, with this technology, some use the computer as well, but we use the pencil art, which we look at a person and draw on the sheet and frame it. Poem in general is communicating to someone in a different manner or in a way that you are trying to, speak out your mind by the use of literature terms. In other words, poem is everyday languages that we do speak. And I think that, as you did mention, poem or poetry has been in the system for long. If you take the Bible or you take the Quran, it's poem. They are poets. That those that wrote it are poets. Let me put it that way. And the presentation of the language is fully poems. So poems in general, you realize that it has been in existence for long, but it is not everybody that patronizes it due to its understanding. There are people, when they listen to your poems, they don't even know what you're talking about. That's why I'm saying that it is a way of sending your information in an angle that someone has to decode. And it's not everybody that can, decode your poems or your language of poetry when you present it.
How on earth is death fearful? When the sting of death was taken at Calvary, he shouted, "Death, where's your sting?"
My poems is to inspire we the young and we the humans as a whole how to live our lives. If you look at the nature of my poems, they talk about we the human life. One was about hello God. Why I just we humans looking at ourselves, talking to God. How I wish if I talk, God will talk back to me. The way I wish if I speak, God will speak to me. If I laugh, God will also laugh. I just want to see the smile of God to be able to be sure as to whether the way I live my life, God is really pleased with it. You understand? And there was another one which was about how this generation, how we find ourselves in this generation, some of the moral values, the moral decay of we the youth these days, and a whole lot. So if you take that particular poem, you realize that there are instances where we the youth, we've taken certain things as a normal, but in the olden days, those things were not normal. So my point is to rekindle with the youth to shift out to a good path.
At the end of each sermon, each carcass is good for light soup garnished with dawa dawa, whose aroma from the soup flood the mouth of passers-by with saliva. Fingers are licked like the lips of a beautiful lady.
Yes, as I think my poems are not violent. They are not. They don't contain words that are, tribal. that are against tribal or religious or ethnicity or race or sexual violent. Those ones are not part. All that I need, because one of the poems I brought out was about peace. And that particular poem, I talked about conflict as in general and the destruction of conflict. And if there's conflict, how the youth, the agents, the children, the women, how they suffer. So looking at my poems, they do not contain words that can, escalate into conflict or can fuel conflict. Okay, it's true. Poets normally find it difficult to mingle themselves with people, and what a little I want to say about that is this. I'm a young poet. I'm not coming into the system. I have other people I look up to, people like the Gombila, Hakim, the poet, and the rest. Shakespeare and the other great men who once lived. These are the people that inspire. And as you said, the reason why people see poets not to mingle themselves with people is that they read a lot. They read a lot. And me, for instance, I find it difficult to even memorize my poems because immediately I pick pen and I'm writing, the idea comes. But after I finish, I find it difficult to memorize it. So if I'm with somebody, normally being in the house, if I'm writing, I don't pay attention to my wife. So I don't pay attention to anyone who is even around with me. So you might think that I'm not sociable, but I'm very sociable. After I'm done with that, we can play around, we can do a whole sort of things. So the reason why people see them to be isolated is that poets read a lot.
Where is the love when man plot evil against man? With two-edged swords to mine that sweet, boneless heart that can be broken like an egg.
Back at school, somewhere 2016, 2017, in Tamale, Hakim the poet, I am Sani and his group. They organized a poetry show at UDS, which I attended. And before I left there, I got inspired, and I just told myself, this is the talent I have, and I think I will be able to do it. Because before that, I write on Facebook and on my WhatsApp status. I am the type that feel like creating stories. And at times I do write certain things. People think they are my real stories. No, these are things that I just, that comes into my thoughts. So after the program, I just decided that why not? Why don't you put it in a poetry form? So afterwards, I started writing some things on my status, which a lot of people saw it, read it, and they were like, why don't you publish it? Write it so that we put it into books. You understand? So these were inspired. So the one who even sent me there is also a nurse, his name is Seram, who was also into the poet, and he sent me to the program. And afterwards, we write. When we write, you give it to them, then they will read and edit. This is supposed to be here, this is not supposed to be there. So through that, we are growing, and I think some of us, we are still young in the poetry industry.
Inside the grave is overflow of loneliness. Why fighting my brother when death awaits?
The community here, the future is not, let me put it that way, in this way, that the future is not clear, in a sense that it's not like in the cities. It's not like in the cities where we have much educated people, where you can organize a lot of programs. There are tertiary education. There's a lot of senior high schools that you can organize shows and all those things. This place is a community, and I would say that this community is populated by illiterate people who have not gone to school. So future poetry in general, as to organizing programs, is something that will be very difficult. But the only thing that is inspiring us today that we are promoting this is the hardcore multimedia and his group. They are really doing well, trying as much as possible to put this on social media so that it will be able to catch the eyes of people who are not within. Poets, I think I want to also be, I want the poet to go far so that I'll be known as a poet. If there's any program in the cities, if some few years to come, I should be able to publish my work in some of the journals. These are my future plans. What inspires me is I am the type who want to speak out to the youth out there. So I think one way to also communicate to society is through poetry. I like communication.
I do imagine how hot the tomb will be during dry season. I do imagine how water will flood the tomb during rainy season. I do imagine how termites will eat up that body that once lived and bathed throughout the life cycle.
Okay. Poetry, as in general, you can have it, which is hidden. The only thing is to start writing. As much as you write, the more experience you gain. And the more you read, the more you broaden your way of understanding things. Knowledge is not monopoly that one can say, I'm the only one who is knowledged. We all have the knowledge. The only thing is to put it into practice. So if you are a young poet or you have the gift of writing, the only thing is to start writing. And the more you write, the more experience you get. And I would say that you should also look up to the great poets who has ever published their works. And you learn from those that are already ahead, like I do now. I think I have great poets I always send my works to edit because we never cease learning. Great poets such as I earlier mentioned Hakim the poet. He's one of the guys who edit my poems, and Seram, who is also in Tamale, and Juan Evans is also doing a very great job at the southern sector. And what I'll tell the youth is that you might have the gift. If you don't put it into practice, it will be hidden and wasted. Thank you, Hardcore Multimedia and your groups for this wonderful opportunity to showcase the little talent we have, and we are now grooming to become great men and great young men. Kudos to your team, and God bless you for this wonderful opportunity.
It's rather unfortunate the good prophesied to the pig about the death that awaits him in the pork show, but couldn't see what awaits him in 25th December, where blood will be poured through a throat, followed by our favorite apochi krakra plus fufu, where those that do not pound, like Gombila once said, will not eat. I do imagine how hot the tomb will be